Chapter 9. Clay had flown. Chapter 9. Wings of Fire, the Fanmade Audiobook. Chapter 9. The Dragonet Prophecy. Clay had flown before, short hops around the caves, dodging the stalactites and flapping in circles. But that was nothing. Nothing compared to this. Everything was so big. The sky was everywhere. It just went on and on and on like nothing could ever fill it up. It was night, but the light of the three moons were dazzling after a lifetime of caves and fluttering torches. Nothing could fill it. Craggy Cake. Sorry, I'm just gonna start from the last paragraph. I forgot what I was up to. The sky was everywhere. It went on and on, like nothing could ever fill it up. It was night, but the light of the three moons were dazzling after a lifetime of caves and sparkling torches. Craggy mountain peaks bit into the sky all around him. In the distance, he thought he saw a glimmer of sea. And the stars. Clay had thought he knew the stars from gazing out of the sky hole. Clay never knew how many there are. Clay had thought he knew stars from gazing out of the sky hole. He never knew how many there were, or how they looked like a silver net cast across the dark. He felt like he could keep flying up and up forever, all the way to the moon. He wondered if any dragon had ever tried to do that. This is what we've been missing this whole time. Even the short lines of pain between the scales couldn't take away this excitement. "Can you believe this?" he called out. He called, spinning in the air. "Tsunami, isn't this amazing?" There was no answer. He lashed his tail to stop spinning and he hovered. Couldn't see tsunami anywhere. Clay lashed his tail to stop spinning and hovered, his eyes darting around the sky. He couldn't see tsunami anywhere. She wouldn't have flown off without him, would she? By the way, sorry, I'm a little bit messed up, but I promise I won't mess up with the audiobook any time soon. Okay, and back to the story. Maybe she'd seen the faraway sea. Maybe she thought her home and saw her home and went with this. Clay knew she wouldn't abandon her friends, but he also knew how desperately he wanted to return to the ocean. He glanced down to the horizon and spotted her far below him, flapping in a frantic downward spiral. Something was wrong. It looked like one of her wings was working. It looked like only one of her wings was working. Clay twisted into a dive and barreled towards her. He ducked his wing close to its body, fighting back the terror as he plummeted. Wind whistled past his face. Wind! He'd imagined it all wrong. It was like a live thing, grabbing his tail to throw him off balance, whisking in his eyes to blind him, flaring under his wings to slow him down. It seemed to dig icicle sharp claws into his skin, slicing under his scales. The waterfall and the cliff shot past the light at lightning speed. Was he falling too fast? The ground hurled towards him. Shadows and moonlight mixed into shapes he'd never seen and couldn't understand. He had no idea how far away it was, or how soon he'd reach. He never dealt with distances like this before. Would he be able to stop? Would it hurt when he did? He could see tsunami below him, still struggling, so he knew that she hadn't hit the button yet. And that made her become braver. He fell and fell and fell, and she got closer and closer until Clay passed her and instantly flared his wings open. His body slammed upright like he was run into a wall, and a moment later he was whammed again, this time by a heavy sea wing landing on him above. He tumbled, nearly losing tsunami over his head, but they caught onto each other with their talons and held tight. With her claws wrapped fiercely around his neck, Clay battled to stay aloft. beating his wings in wide arcs. He wasn't strong enough to lift her, but at least he could slow her fall. Tsunami let out a yelp, and Clay felt something like claws snag his wings and tail. They lost their hold on each other as they fell through the trees, smashing branches and ripping off leaves before they thudded to earth. It took Clay a moment before he could breathe again. Tsunami's tail was plopped across his snout. He pushed it aside and sat up, creaking with pain. Tsunami rolled over on her back, letting her wings flop out to either side. Close up, Clay could see that she was right. One of her azure blue wings was crooked, as if it had been wrenched out of her shoulder. He touched it with one claw, and they both flinched. "What happened?" Clay asked. "Getting out of the chain," Tsunami said. "I think I dislocated it." "And you came after me anyway?" Clay said, appalled. "Why didn't you tell me you were hurt?" She shrugged and winced again. "Didn't hurt much in the river, but once I tried to fly—" "Dirt!" Clay yelled suddenly. "I'm standing on dirt!" He stabbed his claws in the ground and they sunk right in the earth. A thrill ran through him from snout to tail. Tsunami sat up to look at him. "Yay!" she said. "It's amazing! Feel how soft it is!" He seized a handful of dirt and flung it at her. "Hey, quit that!" she protested, defending herself with her good wing. Clay flattened himself to the grass, feeling the warm earth crumble around his legs and clump against his scales. Scents of green and brown and bird-free sunshine overwhelmed him. It was nothing like the hard, cold, bare rock under the mountain. The ground here was welcoming and full of life. A worm burrowed past his nose, and he snapped it up. "Well, now we're even," Tsunami said. "I saved you, and you said—" "I hear the river!" Clay said, jumping up and shaking himself. Tsunami ducked the shower of dirt that flew off him. "River plus dirt means mud." He spun around and raced through the trees towards the sound of bubbling water. Tsunami found him rolling blissfully in the muddy banks of the river. "I don't think most dragons get this excited about being dirty," she said wryly. "I bet my kind do," Clay said, ignoring her sarcasm. "I've never been this warm in my whole life." For the first time ever, his claws didn't ache, his wings didn't itch, his wings didn't feel too dry. He wasn't worried about stubbing his talons every other step. He felt the mud squelch into the gaps between his skeleton and realized that was the pain from the cave poison was fading, as if the mud was healing him. He sighed happily, squishing himself farther down into the damp riverbank. "Wow," Tsunami said. She stuck one of her front talons in the river. "And we're not even at the mudwing swamps yet. I wonder if I'll be this excited when I go to the sea." "You will," Clay said, suddenly feeling certain and brave and confident. "And when you can fly, can we fix your wings? Can we fix your wings?" He tilted his head, studying her injury. The waterfall poured down a cliff that towered over them, with even higher mountains beyond. The 3 moons were low in the sky. Clay guessed it would be morning soon, and then they could look for the smoke signal that would lead to their friends. But Tsunami couldn't fly. She'd be stuck down here, easy pickings for any hostile dragons flying by. Clay glanced up at the sky, remembering that they'd popped out into a world at war. It seemed so peaceful here, and the way the big dragons talked, he'd imagined the entire world as a giant battlefield. Oh, so strange to be in a quiet clearing, with no sight or sound of war, or even other dragons anywhere nearby. Well, he knew that the town's of peace, and by extension the Dragonets had enemies everywhere. The 3 diamond queens just trusted the prophecy and would kill anyone who got in their way. There was a whole list of dragons that might do terrible things to them. Terrible things to the Dragonets of Destiny if they ever found them. Tsunami twisted to look at her dislocated wing. "I'm sure I can fix it," she said. "I saw this in the scroll once. It probably needs to be banged back into place. Maybe if I run myself into a tree." She glanced around the forest and suddenly charged at the nearest solid tree trunk. Clay leaped out of the mud and pounced on her tail. yanking her back before she crashed. Ow! Tsunami stormed. Get off! I can fix it! This will work! She snapped her teeth at him. Stop being a grumpy skyling, smashing yourself into a tree is a terrible plan. Now look at it. Tsunami settled down on the grass, grumbling, with her wings spread out. Clay circled her, then stood back and looked at the uneven line of her wings and shoulders. If you can stay still, then I think I can shove it back into place. Is that a good idea? Tsunami asked, flinching away from him. Better than running into a tree, he pointed out. Dig your claws and embrace yourself. Tsunami clutched the ground and closed her eyes. Clay felt gently along her shoulder with his back counted. It was easy to find the spot where the bone had slipped out of its socket. He touched it lightly until he was sure where it was and then where it needed to be, and then he grabbed it and shoved the bone into place in one quick, strong movement. Ow! Tsunami roared, rearing back. Her powerful tail whipped around and slammed Clay into a thicket of prickly bushes. I'm sorry, Clay yelped, floundering free. I really thought that would work, he thought. Tsunami was turning in a circle, flexing and extending both wings. They looked perfectly matched again. It did work. It's a little bit sore. I can move now. Pretty fierce, Clay. She helped disentangle his tail from the branches. Sorry I whacked you. Clay opened his mouth to respond, but Tsunami suddenly seized his snout and held it shut. She raised one talon, her ears twitching. What's that? She whispered. Clay tried to swivel his head around, but Tsunami's grip was too tight. He strained his ears to listen. Something was crashing through the forest towards them. And that is the end of Chapter 9. I'll see you in the next video. Currently, one of my videos are uploading super slow, and I have to wait like another 24 hours until it uploads. Anyway, see you in